Okay, let's give you guys some more practice. So work out the limit of this sequence as n tends to infinity. So press pause and have a go. Okay, so to do this, let's just look at this bit here. So to do this, let's just look at this bit here. So if you look at this, well, cos of n as n tends to infinity, well, cos of n looks like this. Cos of n looks like this. It's just going to oscillate between 1 and -1. So this thing here will be 1, -1, 1, -1, 1, and so on. So the biggest value that this thing here could be is 1. So the biggest value that this thing here could be is 1. 1 times this thing is just going to be this thing. So this will be over n to the power 3, and then find the biggest magnitude that this thing could be. The biggest magnitude that this thing could be. The biggest magnitude that this thing could be is this thing, and then stick a negative in front of it. So basically, this is trapped in between here and here. So now take the limit of all three. So take the limit of this. So this is a negative, so take it out. So you've got negative and then the limit. And then take the limit of this as n tends to infinity. Take the limit of this, and then take the limit of this as n tends to infinity. That will then give you this. So now if you look at this, the limit as n tends to infinity. So you've got the numerator over denominator. As n tends to infinity, this bubble is just going to get this. As n tends to infinity, this 1 here is going to be negligible. So you can just think of it as being n over. So you can think of it as being as n gets very, very big. This thing here, you can think of it as n to the power of 2, and then over n to the power 3. So as n tends to infinity, well, this is going to be 0. This is going to be 0. As n tends to infinity, this thing here is going to be 0. We don't know what the precise meaning of this thing, but we know that it's trapped in between 0 and 0. So by the squeeze theorem, this will have no choice but to have a limit of 0. So your overall answer would be this. Okay. So next one. So find the limit of this sequence as n tends to infinity. So press pause and have a go. Okay, so to do this, if you look at this block here, as n moves about, as this n moves about, it's just going to be -1 and then 1, -1 and then 1 and so on. So this block here is just going to oscillate between -1, 1, -1, 1, -1, 1 and so on. So we can trap this thing here. So we can trap this thing here as being between here and here, because this block here is just going to be -1 is just going to be 1, -1, 1 and so on. So the biggest thing that this thing could be is 1. So 1 times 2 would be 2, and then this square root goes across here. So the biggest magnitude that this thing here could be is 2, but then stick a minus in front of it. So now from here, take the limit of all three. So this is a constant, take it out. Take the limit of this as n tends to 0. Take the limit of this as n tends to 0. So that will then give us this. So now if you look at this here, remember square root of n, if you look at the square root graph, it will look like this. As you increase, it's just going to head towards infinity. So this number eventually will be very, 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 very big, and it keeps on climbing. If it keeps on climbing, eventually the whole thing here will be, eventually this whole thing here will be 0, and then this whole thing here will be 0. So we don't know what's going on here, but we do know it's trapped in between 0 and 0. So by the squeeze theorem, this will have no choice but to have a limit of 0. So the limit of this thing here is 0. Okay.